Oh boy, look, we came right up this time, Michelle. You weren't paying attention.
Ha! Yeah, I wasn't looking, was I? I was reading the chat over on the side.
Oh, well, that's important too, Hi, everybody. I'm John,
Hi, I'm Michelle.
and that's Michelle. And we're back again with another talk show. So, what that means is this is the one time a month when we do our little show where people are invited to call in. And I'm trying to remember, Michelle, I don't think I put the link in the description of the video this time. I totally spaced on that. So maybe people can get the link out of the chat as we go. But we have some stuff that we want to talk about ahead of time first anyway, right? So, yeah. So, hey, nice to see you. You've been really busy this past month. I've been really busy this past month too, since we did this last.
I feel like 5 months has gone by and it's been a month.
Yeah.
So it's been good though. I've been traveling. You've been busy with the national convention.
Yep. I've been not traveling, but I feel like I traveled.
Yeah. I've heard great things about the convention, John. So.
Oh, well, that's good. There were a lot of great things that happened with the convention. So.
Yeah.
I don't know that I have too much to say about that, but if you have any questions about it, we can certainly talk about that later. I'm kind of conventioned out, to be honest. I've talked about it. We planned it for months. We talked about it before it. We talked about it during it, and we talked about it after it. And I've done, I think, 2 shows about it. I don't need to keep going on about the convention. So,
well, I did a convention that I'll talk about.
Yeah, you should talk about your convention.
It was a new experience for me. So I helped with the National O-Scale Convention, and I've never attended like a smaller convention of only about 200 people. I've been to the National Train Show and the Rocky Mountain Train Show, but this kind of like specific group, that was really a new experience for me. It was neat, and they all kind of knew each other before they got there. Like a whole lot of them did. So it was kind of like a family reunion. So it was interesting, and I liked it. I learned a lot more about O gauge versus O scale. I can do that now.
Well, right. We've talked about that before. So what's your definition of O scale versus O gauge?
Well, O gauge is Lionel, right? O scale is 2-rail O scale. So, but they played nice together in Denver. Actually, both groups came together, and it was really fun. And out of that, I did a rail tour, and so I wanted to talk about that. And I'd love for people to call in and tell me what they would think about this kind of rail tour. I had a lot of feedback from it.
I want to tell you something, just based on because I followed it on Facebook. I watched the whole thing, and I was like, every time you posted new pictures, I wished I had been there. That's how good it looked. So what were you going to say?
So it was supposed to be like a bucket list rail tour. When we were planning it, I planned it for the O-scale modelers. And in the group that I was in on Zoom meetings, planning all this, it's a bunch of guys and their modelers and their rail fans are like, we want to ride these trains. We want to be in the yards. We want to see this stuff. So what I planned was the ultimate rail fan experience. And we got up really early, and we went and we went and we went and we went. And every time something would come up that was interesting, that was trained, we'd turn and go do it. And so it was like itinerary subject to train. And I expected it to be modelers and rail fans, and like we were just going to go. Well, there were wives that came.
Oh, okay.
And almost 99% of them had a blast and were right there. And if they didn't get it, they were happy that their husband got to do it, that kind of thing. But I had one wife that was just like, yeah, this is torturous. She was extremely unhappy. So I learned a whole lot. It was good feedback. So I've learned I'm going to do 2 rail tours in the future. I'm going to do Michelle's Colorado Rail Tour, and we will get up. We'll be at the train. We'll have tickets. We'll ride the train. We'll come back. We'll go out to eat, and we'll go back to the hotel, and you'll have free time. And then, there'll be some shopping and some things like that involved in that rail tour. Well, maybe some wine.
All women love to get new purses.
Yes, definitely. They're shopping for purses there. So, you're so funny. Okay, so the other tour, which I think will hopefully be more popular because I'll have more fun, is Michelle's Ultimate Rail Fan Tour. Enter at your own risk. Diehard rail fans only.
Foamers.
Yeah, it'll be like
Yeah.
Michelle's Foamer trip. And so I think the tour company that I did this for wants me to continue to do this. And I've come up with a way to make it a fundraiser for the museum.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And so for me being the host on the tour, when you purchase the package, you're going to pay an additional $100 donation to the museum. And that pays my way to go and your ability to do the things that we can do when, because we had yard tours everywhere, cab rides. And
that's cool.
You know, I got us into a lot of places with private tours and things you can't just walk in and see. And so that's what I was thinking. So I don't know. I'd be curious what people think if they would sign up for a diehard rail fan tour or if they'd prefer a more casual, just see all the trains and the beauty of Colorado.
Uh-huh.
So that's what I learned.
Seriously, though, watching all the pictures and all the places that you went, and I was just like, wow, I wish I could have gone to this. But, you know, you're too expensive for me, so.
So it was interesting. We ended up in 2 14-passenger vans. And so it was easy to move around and quick to get in and out of places. Everybody load and unload quick. When you get a big motor coach of 50 people, do you know you have to add 15 minutes just to get people on the bus?
Yeah.
And so I wanted it to be this like different kind of experience in these vans. So it's like we were driving through Alamosa and we'd just come into town. We'd had cab rides in Pueblo and 104-degree weather. So it was like Hell's Kitchen, you know, and I told them, I'm like, you just survived a cab ride in 104-degree weather. I think that makes you like way higher than just any other cab ride. So,
sure.
Just like the real deal.
Uh-huh.
So we roll into Alamosa and we see a steam locomotive on a truck trailer as we're going past the street. And so I'm like, whoa, turn left. We got to turn. So
right. What's that?
What's that? So we drove over and we drove in the parking lot and we looked at it and we realized that the Iowa Pacific company had sold this steam locomotive to a museum in Pennsylvania and we got to see it on its move.
Oh,
so
cool.
Very interesting.
Yeah. Iowa Pacific is in receivership right now. Everything's being auctioned off for as much as they can get to pay their bills.
I know. And so if you go to Alamosa, go look at everything you can because it'll all disappear soon.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, one of my local heritage railways, the Niles Canyon Railway, purchased the southern, actually, I don't think it was part of Iowa Pacific at this point, but or maybe it was, I don't remember. I think it came from Alamosa, the 1744, the former SP, it's a 260.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know the Rio Grande Scenic that well.
Yeah.
I never got to ride it.
So. I'm trying to remember. I even interviewed the guys that were involved with getting that piece of steam because they're going to restore it, right? It's going to be a piece of, we're going to be talking about steam later. And there's another really big piece of news coming from my area about steam. And I don't know if you follow this or if you know about this, Michelle, let's get to it.
Yeah, let's do it.
I was going to say we can get to it later because I want to hear more about your tours, but I'll mention it really quick now. And that is so there are 3 Southern Pacifics left. Those are 4, 6, I don't remember now, 462s, I think. Actually, I can tell you. Hold on a minute. I'll tell you because I have something right here that tells me exactly what it is. Give me a second here. I think it's a 462.
Somebody's asking a question I can answer while you're pulling that out.
Oh, I was right. It's a 462.
Is it? Oh, good. Oh, the question is Alamosa is going away. The Rio Grande Scenic Railroad is owned by Iowa Pacific, and Iowa Pacific is in receivership. So the Rio Grande Scenic Railroad out of Alamosa, Colorado is no longer running and being sold off. So that's the answer to the question.
Yeah. So anyway, there are 3 former Southern Pacific locomotives. That's a 462. It looks like this. Okay, this is one of them. 2472, right?
Okay.
Did a video about 2472. Wow, it was already 13 years ago.
Is that the Niles Canyon one?
It's the one that was in Niles Canyon. This one is the 2472. It's owned or is the custodian. The custodian of it is the Golden Gate Railroad Museum. So,
Okay.
Also known as GGRM.
Okay.
They negotiated with the PLA, that's the Pacific Locomotive Association, who runs the Niles Canyon Railroad or Railway, to have it there. And they did have it there for a number of years, but the two groups ended up not really getting along. So now 2472, which sat idle in Niles Canyon for like 3 years or more, it got moved out. Well, one of the other Pacific class locomotives is up at the California State Railroad Museum. It's the 2467.
Okay.
That one is custodianed, or I don't know what you call it when they don't own it, but they take care of it.
It's on loan. Yeah, they do custodial care for an on loan item.
Right, the caretakers of the 2467, because I think it's actually owned by the city of Oakland or something like that.
Okay.
But the caretakers of it is Niles Canyon Railway, or the PLA, Pacific Locomotive Association. Well, the third one has been sitting here about, 5 or 10 miles away from my house at the Santa Clara County Fairgrounds and undergoing a very slow restoration. That's the 2479.
Okay.
The 2479, I think, is a slightly larger locomotive than the other two. But anyway, recently they just announced that the 2479 is being moved to Niles Canyon.
Okay.
To the Niles Canyon Railway, and there was a roundhouse in San Jose. It was called the Lenzen Roundhouse because it was off Lenzen Street, Lenzen.
Okay.
They dismantled that roundhouse brick by brick and have it stored somewhere, and they're going to reconstruct that roundhouse in Niles and have the 2479 there. And
what a great project!
It's amazing. Project. Yeah, it's amazing. The 2479 will run in Niles Canyon in a matter of, who knows how long it's going to take. But there's not really a whole heck of a lot of work left on it to get it running again. So they're going to have not only the former Southern Pacific 1744, which is that, I think it's a mogul. I'm pretty sure it's a 260. But they're also going to have this Pacific class locomotive running in the canyon, which is also former Southern Pacific. And the cool thing about that is the line that the Niles Canyon Railway runs on is the former Southern Pacific line.
Oh, that's cool.
It's very SP centric. So
I'm adding it to my list of have to see.
Oh yes, and someday when you come out here, like this is something we would have done had the convention been in person. Yeah, so it's really
news. Yeah, that's great.
It's so exciting, and it turns out that I think almost everybody, if not everybody, who's in the group that's been restoring 2479, they're also members of the PLA. So there probably won't be a lot of butting heads over things with those two groups. So it'll probably be it'll probably be permanent. I guess
that's awesome.
I guess the relationship with the GGRM and the PLA was not so copacetic. So
that happens sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was one museum that didn't get along with another one and ended up kind of closing. I won't say where, but we ended up with a very large collection donated to us because one of them dissolved. It was kind of a sad situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I tried every way in the world to find a good fit for this collection and ended up coming to us. But it's okay. It's good. We're keeping a lot of the brass out of it to display as brass, like the examples of brass modeling, which is another reason for the topic tonight is that I've been dealing with a lot of brass steam locomotives lately and learning about them. So,
right. So why don't you tell the viewers, we talked about it before we went live, but you can tell the viewers what your idea was for that topic.
So okay. For tonight's topic? Yeah. So,
so that they know what to call in for.
Yeah. So what I was thinking about, since I've had a lot of steam in my head and like John's project here, I've just been in Alaska and there was a whole steam program there. They're redoing one of the Alaska Railroad steam locomotives. Of course, while I was gone, Big Boy went through Greeley twice. and so there's another steam program. And so I was thinking about, we have all these brass models, but people are donating them more and more and more. I'm seeing more of that. And I'm seeing more people buy modern modeling in steam. And I'm also seeing a lot of younger people liking steam. And to me, when I first started in this hobby, it seemed like only the old guys ran the steam.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to get people's opinions and talk about that. Like, are current STEAM real life programs affecting modeling? Are people modeling STEAM more because of that? Is it a factor in that? I don't know. So,
Yeah,
how was
and
that
who
for a
knows?
long question? So,
I think it's a good question now, and I think we'll probably get opinions on that too, because, well, people always have opinions about steam versus diesel, whatever.
oh, yeah.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, to me, I think steam is cool.
And STEAM with a diesel.
Yeah, people
That's another
people like
drama topic.
people like to complain about that.
I'm like, if I put as much money into those brakes as they did, I'd put that on there too. It's for braking. So,
Yeah, it was funny that a while back, Ed Dickens, or well, people were making all these really sort of, well, I don't want to say they were stupid comments, but they were stupid comments
you could say
about,
uneducated
or maybe
or
ignorant. I
stupid.
don't know.
Yeah.
Well, let's just call it what it is. They were stupid comments about why the diesel was on there and why it shouldn't be on there. And it was really nice for Ed to come out and explain everything. It's like, and just put all the nonsense to rest. I
Yeah.
really don't like that rumor mill stuff. It's so,
And he's so patient when he does it. He's like super kind about it. Like, here's the deal.
Yeah.
This is what we do. This is why we do it.
yeah.
So yeah, he's super patient with people.
Yeah. I remember I had an interview with him, I think about 3 years ago, prior to them going out on some excursion. And that was one of the things I asked him about. It's like, because, I kept seeing the persistent stupidity of rumors. And I finally just said, what's the real reason why there's a diesel attached to the train? Let's just get it out there so people don't have to keep making up these stupid reasons that they, because
Yeah.
what happens is people like to make other people think they know what they're talking about. So they say it as if they know what they're talking about. And so other people who don't know are like, oh, well, he sounds like he knows what he's talking about. So it must be right. It must be true.
I saw on Facebook that.
Right. How do you know something's not true? You saw it on
You saw
Facebook.
it on Facebook.
But anyway, I don't like that whole rumor thing, because it just
agree.
perpetuates nonsense. And I don't know. I guess I'm like a no nonsense kind of person. So
Me too. To get to the point.
Yeah, it just bugs me.
Be true about it.
Yeah. So
okay. So
yeah.
that'll conclude my Railfan tour. Unless somebody had questions about it. It was really fun. We got to go into the Durango and Silverton yard really early in the morning and watch them pull the locomotives out of the roundhouse and turn them on the table and then take them out in the yard. And then they had so many tourists that day, they added cars to the train. So we watched that happen. And it was just neat being in the middle of a very alive yard of steam. And they had diesels running too. Like it was just a rail yard with everything in it. So it was pretty neat. So that's what I had to say about that. Dickens is amazing. Yeah, I agree. And I can honestly say this. Ed Dickens is a genuinely honest person, like a good person. He comes to the museum and volunteers in the off season, and he will do the things that volunteers don't like to do, like shovel the snow off the sidewalk. So sometimes if you come in, Ed might be shoveling snow. He might be doing, because he just wants to volunteer. He's like a really genuinely nice person. I can say that. So,
I know that.
So let the rumors begin. Michelle said he's nice. Oh my God.
Well, I have to say the first time I had any kind of an encounter with Ed Dickens was in Ogden back in 2019 when we went out to chase the big boy. And it was funny because I was there with Gary and Alvin, and you can see this on the Chasing Trains episode. This is actually covered on Chasing Trains. We went to Ogden because we knew that 4014 and 844 were going to be posed like on display in Ogden, and we wanted to go see, take pictures, whatever. And as we were standing there, Alvin comes up to me and he says, "Bro, that's Ed Dickens over there. He's like a famous rock star. He's the one that did," he was telling me all of what Ed Dickens was like. "Oh, that's great, Alvin. Are you sure it's him? Because I didn't think it would be him. I like, why would he be out at, it was cold and, there were just
Yeah.
like foamers milling about taking pictures of, but it was him. So we went over and he was surrounded by about, I don't know, 15, maybe 20 people and just having a regular conversation with them. And I was just like, and one of the people there was talking about how, UP should be kissing your feet for what you've done for this steam and locomotive, blah, blah, blah. And Ed does not.
He's not that. He's not that way.
You could tell he was almost, I don't want to say he was embarrassed because I don't know him well enough to know if he was embarrassed, but he immediately started taking all that talk away and said, we're really lucky that Union Pacific wanted this to happen, because if they didn't, we wouldn't be here talking about it and how grateful he is to them.
Right.
And,
I've heard him say that many times.
Right. In other words, taking it and putting it into somewhere else away from attention on him, which that indicates to me that he's probably a humble person.
Very much so.
Right.
Yeah.
It was about 2 or 3 days later, they were on their way back to Cheyenne and they were stopped in Evanston. We actually went out and chased it up to Evanston. And at that, because he was surrounded by people the other night, so I didn't go talk to him at all. But on that day, he wasn't surrounded by a bunch of people. So I went up to him and introduced myself, and I said something about, that what they were doing was really making a lot of people happy, and it was really cool to see that. And before, I wasn't going to say anything about how great he was or talk about all that blowing smoke stuff, or he immediately grabbed Austin Barker and said, and Austin's my right-hand man. None of this stuff would have been happening without this guy right here. In other words, he, again, took it straight off of himself and gave credit to somebody else. I don't know. I really appreciate that in someone. No.
Yeah. And that's exactly his character. And that's exactly, and I've known him for quite a few years now, many years. And the whole steam crew is like that. It's not just Ed. It's all of them. They're all really decent, good guys. They're good. And they're foamers. Don't let them say they're not. All but one of them is a modeler.
Oh, really? That's
of
funny.
some sort. Yeah. Except Austin, he's a tractor guy, but they're just great guys. I love what they do. We should talk about this because Big Boy's going out on August 5th. And for the first time, I will be chasing it with a group of ladies called Steam Sisters. So I'll try to post stuff. It should be quite hilarious. Bunch of ladies chasing trees together. So
you should have called it the Foamy Females or something.
Yeah, well, we do have the Gunsling Girls. You know what Gunsling is? It's the Australian. We have an Australian on watching right now. The Australian word for foamer is gunsel.
I didn't know that.
We sometimes call ourselves the Gunsling Girls.
Okay, that makes sense. I've never heard that before. Yeah.
So we're spending like the first 3 or 4 days with it. We go to North Platte and then we come home on the Sunday, but it should be really fun. I've never done that. So I'm excited to go do that experience like all the other foamers out there. So it should be fun. I also signed up for the VIP experience at the Gold Spike Tower and the tour of the Bailey Yards.
Okay.
So I bought tickets. I'm just being the tourist. I'm so excited to just go and experience this as a tourist. And
yeah, I think that'll be fun, I'm sure.
Yeah. So if anybody's going to be in North Platte, let me know.
A friend of mine just went through there recently, and I don't know, what the whole story was, but he did say that he went to the tower and paid the $8 or whatever and said he had a great time.
Oh, I've been before. It's wonderful. And so I'm excited to see what they do for their big rail days. There's evidently a train show, and there is some sort of barbecue dinner that we can buy a ticket for. And there's all kinds of stuff. I'm really excited to go experience North Platte the way they celebrate it. So cool. I think that'll be fun. We had some questions on here about PTC. I'm seeing some in chat.
Okay.
Let me clear up some things for that. And again, not the expert here. I just hear what I hear, and I know that PTC is involved on the Big Boy this year for the first time. And that test run, if some people were really upset with them because they announced they would be test running on this day, people don't understand that break-in run test run means we're actually testing stuff. So we're going to stop, we're going to start, we're going to take the time we need to look at things. And this year with PTC, there were extra people on board testing the PTC. So it's not like they're out there for our benefit. And so people are all upset. Where's Big Boy? How come it's not here yet? And again, if they just understand what's happening. So Big Boy is equipped with partial PTC on the locomotive. It's got the braking ability, but you obviously could not do the operating ability of PTC on a steam locomotive. So there's a diesel, number 4015, that you'll see with it this year that has PTC on it to work with what's inside with the Big Boy. And I don't know, I have not seen personally what all it is and what it entails, but I know there's a system with it this year that was not with it in 2019. And so that's what all this testing has been about, and why they stop and start so much, and what they've been working on. So I hope that answered your question, Dave. So
yeah, no, that's cool. I mean, think about that. It has to have a computer for PTC to work.
Right.
4014's computers Ed.
Right? And Ted, Ed and Ted, or Ed and Austin. I mean,
right. Whoever's running.
I don't know how you're going to turn that into a computer system that you can remotely control. So
yeah, I guess with a radio.
Yeah. So that's what's going on, though. They did add that as a safety feature this year. They did add PTC to the consist, including the diesel. And you will see 4015 with it, I think, the whole time. I'm not sure, but I think it goes with it the whole time. I love that he chose the next number.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
And it was done for that reason, I'm sure. He probably could have had whatever.
I'm sure. I'm sure he picked it.
That's great. It's too bad I didn't realize that they were leaving on August 5th. If I had known that, I would have maybe tried to contact him to see if he wanted to come on and give our viewers the safety stuff. Yeah, because I know the last time when I had that opportunity to interview him, it was part of an official PR thing for Union Pacific. It wasn't just Ed wanted to talk to me. I mean, that would have been flattering, but it was through UP. And it was really ironic because I had contacted UP, I don't know, 3 years prior to that. Just kind of like, hey, would you like to have someone come on to my pod? I was looking for someone for the podcast at the time. Yeah. And just do a safety talk, because people are out foaming and not everybody is cognizant of being away from the tracks, for example. So they're very sensitive about that topic. Well, back then,
about that.
Yeah. Back then, which I think was around 2015 or so, somebody that I'd never heard of and haven't heard of since then wrote back and said, oh yeah, we'd like to do that. But then it kind of never happened. And then they contacted me, like Rachel, I think, or Raquel, I think it was Raquel from UP, contacted me like 2 years later and said, hey, would you like for Ed Diggins to be on to talk about safety? And I'm like, wow, really? Yeah, that would be great.
That'd be great.
And then it happened. So
they're rolling out a new safety program this year, and they'll be handing out pens. They're really neat. They say 25 feet back. Safety award, I think is what it says, 25 feet back. Because they're really trying to promote that stay 25 feet back from the rail. And I'm a huge promoter of that as a certified Operation Lifesaver representative. Anytime Big Boy comes to Greeley, I spend most of my time with my safety vest on, kind of yelling at people.
Right?
Like, you're going to die if you stand in the middle of the rail. So please get off the rail. And so,
well, the problem is people don't realize how wide and what the overhang is.
Yeah. And Greeley is really narrow because it was a train passenger station. When they pull in there's a sidewalk that comes, the edge of the brick is really almost the edge of the train. And so we're always out there trying to say, please be safe, please be safe. That's I just walk around giving safety talks all day. But
did you see the comment on the screen right now?
Yes. And that is so true. It's so true.
It's very true. Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to see a live example of that from this test run, I think it's Derek Brown. He put a camera down on the ground and he thought they were coming on track 1 and they came on track 3 and they were really close to his camera and you can't see anything.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, it's really not good. You can't see it.
Here's something I'll tell people. I know something about making videos about trains. I've been doing that for a while. And I can tell everybody watching, especially if you're using a consumer camera or a phone or something that's all automatic, it confuses the hell out of your device to have something that close moving that fast.
Oh,
It
yeah.
doesn't know where to focus. So your shot is 100 times better if you're at least 25 feet away, because you can actually be far enough away that it's not confusing the focus and confusing the iris and all that stuff. So it's
Well, and if you want a still shot out of it and you want that awesome, like what do they call that? The
the
three-quarter,
three-quarter angle.
the
Yeah.
three-quarter angle, you have to be far enough away to get the three-quarter angle.
Yep.
So,
It's true. It's true. Yeah. So anyway, pro tip, don't go up next to the tracks. It's a horrible shot anyway, and it's dangerous too.
and Michelle's
So.
going to yell at you.
Well, you know, if she's there and you don't want her yelling at you.
Exactly.
She's vicious.
Before I got my safety vest, I had a little red apron that I wore at the museum, and I put my red apron on as if I were super official.
No,
And
you're
I'd
not
go out
official unless you have a hard hat and a walkie-talkie.
Yeah, and so now I've got all that stuff, and I've got my own safety vest and all that kind of stuff. So
Well, since you're an official Operation Lifesaver ambassador, why don't you give people the safety talk? What do you tell people? I'd like to know.
Well, it depends on
Here,
which age
let me
I'm
make
talking to.
Let me make this official.
It's
Hold
official.
on, I'm gonna make it official. Hold on. Let me see how to do this. I'm trying to figure out. Here we go. There.
Oh,
Go.
it's just me. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. When we are discussing rail safety, anytime you see tracks, you should think trains. That's something we talk about with kids is see tracks, think trains. It's a slogan that we like to use. And we also say that anytime is train time. So if you're anywhere near a track, you should always assume a train could be there at any moment and you might not hear it coming. A train moving in reverse is almost silent when just the cars are coming at you. So you need to be really careful about that. And the other message we really like to get out to people is that there was a national program where they went and put these blue signs on. I usually have my blue sign, but I don't have one here at home. There's a blue sign at every rail crossing now, and that blue sign has the location identifier of that crossing and the phone number that you call for emergency help. Because what happens is if there's an incident, your car's stuck on the tracks and you know a train is coming and you call 911 and they say, "Where are you?" And you say, "I'm in a field by 3 trees at a rail crossing in the country." They aren't going to have any clue where to find you. And so there is a location number on a blue sign at every rail crossing. And we always take these blue signs with us when we go somewhere. And we're trying to get that message out to every human so they know what to do in an emergency. But anytime you're around trains, you need to always assume there's a train and never stand on the tracks 25 feet back. It's not a place to walk or play. It's a place for rail to move. So there you go, John. How was that for your PSA today?
Works for me. Yeah.
Okay. I wish I had a blue sign. I'm gonna have to have one here at home. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. I see them at every crossing, and it says, "In case of emergency, call this number."
And it has a location. So, because there's like 48 crossings between Greeley and Cheyenne, and they all look exactly the same. So if you were someone not from here, you'd say, "Yeah, I'm on a dirt road."
Yeah.
Between Greeley and Cheyenne.
Yeah,
there's
like
48 crossings. Which one are you at?
Exactly. Which one? Yeah. You know, I at the convention from last month, they had a talk. It was called the Fireside Chat with Dispatchers. So one of our planners hosted this thing for a 2-hour session, talking to guys who were actual dispatchers for railroads, and or dispatcher trainers. One of the guys, which I should ask him to come on sometime because he gave a great talk. He also did a clinic. His name is Steve Gust, but he did a clinic talking about a day in the life of a train dispatcher, and talked about all the little stuff that they have to deal with. And I did not realize how much a train dispatcher is alike, say, to an emergency dispatcher. Mm-hmm. And they are, because they deal with a lot of the same issues. Like you were saying, if a car's stuck on the tracks and the people can't get out, or if a car is hit on the tracks or a pedestrian is hit on the tracks, that's the dispatchers have to deal with that stuff. So there's a lot
a lot in dispatching.
Yeah, which if you don't know, you don't know, right? And so listening to someone who actually did it talk about it, I tell you what, that was very eye-opening.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot to it.
Yeah.
So,
Someone is mentioning something about this is one of the things that's
oh, the
cl-
people. Yes.
close to my heart, rail fanning etiquette, which is
Mhm.
stay out of people's pictures and keep your mouth shut until the train's gone.
Is there like an official type of railfan etiquette? I'd share that out on my Facebook if there was.
You know, I have a mug that I developed for this, which is something like, I think rail fanning etiquette 101 or something like that. And it says one, what does it say? Stay out of the picture, two, keep your mouth shut or something like that. It was what Robert just said.
Yeah. Just don't get in their photos. Stay in the photo line 25 feet back.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, I mean, there are times when if it's an organized thing where, I'm trying to think of how to put this so that it makes sense. Like, for example, I had an example where I was up at a place called Railtown 1897. And they were bringing back a what they called the Sierra number 28. It was a 280.
Okay.
And they told us it's okay to be here, here, and here. And one of the here's was very close to the track. As a matter of fact, another one of the here's was on the track. But they knew it wasn't going to go that far. They were going to stop it up at the station. And so
they left appropriate safe distance and
right. And so that was something that was very organized, and the people working the event instructed people where they could go or where they couldn't go.
That's awesome.
So
now we just need that to go everywhere with every big boy. So
right.
Another thing that happened, I don't know if you saw with the drones, on this last test run, they did one last Friday. Someone had a drone really, really close to the locomotive. And so Ed did the hood, the smoke hood. Is that what you call it? The one that comes up over? And the guy took a picture and put it on Facebook. And Ed's response was so perfect. Aha, gotcha. I knew you couldn't resist posting a photo of that. It's not safe to be this close. Please do not fly your drones. What if it hit this? What if what if it flew into the train? What if it flew into somebody? What if it, all this? He put this huge safety message. It was really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we have a question. Will I be attending the Spring Creek model? Yeah, that's on my list of topics. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. Funny you should ask that, Roy, because Michelle had that in mind to talk about today.
Yes, I will be in Deschler. I don't know if you've looked at their list of manufacturers and layouts. It's going to be really neat. I attended this 2 years ago. Yeah, and it was a neat show, and we love Spring Creek model trains. They're just I like wonderful people. Can you tell that I like people? And I especially like awesome people.
Was it 2 years ago or 3 years ago?
Or 3. Was it 2018 or 19?
I don't know because
it's every other year, and I can honestly not remember how many years ago the last one was.
Well, Salt Lake City was 2019, and I think Deschler was before that.
So maybe 2018, and they missed 2020, and now I don't know. But it's only every other year. And for those of you that are wondering what this is all about, Spring Creek Model Trains is in an old grocery store building in Deschler, Nebraska, where they live. Their business started out as like train shows. So they would go out and set up huge booths at train shows, but then they decided to open a store in Deschler. Deschler, I don't know what his population is, 500 people maybe. They have a gas station. There's no restaurants. There's nothing there except Spring Creek Model Trains. And they have a high school and they have a fairgrounds with this big metal building. And so they do the train show in the big metal building that's about 4 blocks from the store. And the store is part of the experience of the show. It has, you kind of go back and forth between the two. And so it's really, I love it. I love that it's rural. I love driving there. It's beautiful fields and there's rail tracks there. And I'm staying to the east in a town called Fairbury because there's hotels there, or you have to stay in York, Nebraska to the west. So you have 2 choices there with like one hotel in each of those, I think. But it's a neat train show. They bring in, I know Rapido's going to be there. and Soundtracks is going to be there, and Scale Trains is going to be there. I'm trying to think through the list of manufacturers. Arrowhead Models,
Mm-hmm.
Iowa, was it Iowa Engineering? The
Iowa
the little
Scaled
throttle?
Engineering.
Iowa
Yeah.
Scaled? Uh-huh. And let's see, who else is on the list? There's quite a few coming in. And I'm excited to see new product and new people. And it's a train show. Super excited.
Yeah, no, it's cool.
Dave's asking if Kato is going to be there. Not that I know of. I didn't see Kato on the list.
Really? I'm surprised.
I know. And maybe they just couldn't make it. I mean, it's just one of those things with train shows. But yeah.
Well, I know that's one that a lot of people look forward to every year. And it's kind of weird because it's in such an unusual place, right? I mean, being out kind of out in the middle of nowhere.
And you wouldn't expect this huge brick and mortar. I mean, their store is not small. It's probably the size of the Colorado Model Railroad Museum, really. Right. If we made it as one big store, that'd be Spring Creek Model Trains. So
yeah. Well,
MTH Intermountain. Intermountain is coming. I saw them on the list for Container Man. He's asking about that. And I think San Juan Model Cars might be coming from Denver. I think they were on a list I saw. So yeah.
Yeah, cool. Well, we have our first caller. So let's bring them on real quick.
Okay.
Oh, look who it is.
It's Dave.
Big surprise.
Hi, Dave.
Surprise.
Hi, Dave. How you doing?
Oh, I just survived a lovely double weekend of Day Out with Thomas.
Oh, that's always fun.
That was fun this year.
You're intensely involved with Thomas, aren't you?
Yeah, this year I decided to take a little step back. So I wasn't in Thomas this year, but I did something more important, which was I was up at the admissions tent passing out very important information and making sure people follow the rules.
Yeah, keep them safe. Yeah, I volunteered for Day Out with Thomas at the Colorado Railroad Museum, and I'd never seen that done before. And I got to be I had the best job, really, because they had the company that does the merchandising for Thomas had given them all these stickers, little sticker packs to give to all the kids. Well, they were smart, and they had me at the exit gate to give a sticker pack to all the crying kids who were upset they were leaving. Every kid was crying.
We thought this year we would be getting the certificates. Instead, we got the stickers. See, there was no communication about this.
The stickers were great, though, because the little kids would be crying, and I'd say, "Did you like Thomas? What was your favorite thing?" And I'd say, "Do you know what? We have stickers for you.
Yes,
you get to take these stickers home." And they got
with the certificate. You can also color in it. You can hang it up on the wall.
Oh,
it's actually something more. It's something more of a keepsake than a sticker, because a sticker you just stick on and it's
instant gratification.
Here today, gone
but not long term.
So
it's funny.
Sounds like the Illinois Railway Museum made their money for the year then, huh?
Well, we also have, according to one of the posts that they just posted the other day, we have Steam running for the next 2 weekends. And after that, Steam is done operating.
Oh,
at least one of them.
Okay.
What do you think about
for the season?
For the season.
That's interesting. Why so soon?
They've been running all year. They've been running since for like about 2-3 months already.
I understand, but it's only July. I mean, certainly they could get at least a couple more solid months running, couldn't they?
They could, if we have volunteers and crew that would be able to help in all that stuff. Because keep in mind, we're still dealing with COVID and all that stuff, and
it might be a back end problem, just like my travel. I could talk all about that. Restaurants that didn't have food or servers.
Oh, because of COVID, right?
Yeah. In Alaska, a lot of the towns, the restaurants would run out of food at like 5 p.m. They're like, "Yeah, we're done for the day. Sorry, out of food."
What do you do when that happens?
You go to Safeway. Do you know how many dinners I had that were like a frozen pizza in the condo?
Wow.
We had to learn to pack food. It was an interesting experience. Sorry, that was totally off topic, but
that's
fine. COVID is still affecting things in travel, and so if you are going to railfan travel, pack your food.
And see, and it's like at the museum. It's like we follow, because we are in public transportation. You have to follow the rules, and like if you ride Metro, and I'm sure the same is for you, John. If you ride Caltrain, you have to wear a mask.
Oh,
Not, it's FRA. We
It
deal
is.
with the FRA. We don't deal with the CDC. We deal with the FRA. We are enforcing that rule. If you don't have a mask, you can't ride. It's as simple as
That's
that.
how it was at the Alaska Railroad too. We wore masks on the trains. It's public transportation.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
I think most public places, well, I think they're going to reinstate the whole mask thing soon because there are a lot of people still catching the virus, unfortunately. So
yeah.
they want to do whatever they can to try to stem the tide, right?
So I was one thing. Okay, so I'm totally jumping topics again. I didn't talk about the Alaska Railroad, but it's been interesting what they've done to survive COVID and to stay in business, to keep operating. They've combined their tourist trains with their whistle stops. And I think I was really fortunate that my ride to Denali was a whistle stop ride. And so we'd be going along and there'd be a flag tied to a tree and we'd stop and somebody'd walk up and get on the train. And so I don't know if you know what that means, but in Alaska, there's a lot of people that live completely off grid, and the Alaska Railroad will pick them up if they hang a flag out.
Right. I thought they call those flag stops, though.
Flag
Isn't there a
stops.
difference
Yes, you're
between a
right. I'm
flag
saying
stop
whistle. It's a flag stop. I'm saying whistle. I'm so sorry. Flag stops. And it was
doesn't
just
matter to me.
interesting. Well, and then at one point, we crossed this bridge across this river, and we immediately stopped, like right after the bridge. And I thought, well, that's really strange. And there was no flags or anything. And we pulled forward a little bit, and they aligned the back baggage car with right past the bridge, and they unloaded almost an entire village. Like 30 people got off, and then fence panels are going off the train, and all these crates and bags and boxes, and it took them about 15 minutes to unload what I think was a small encampment.
I think there's a TV show on the Smithsonian Channel called the Alaska Railroad, and you can actually watch a couple episodes of it where they actually do what Michelle just described.
Yeah, so it was really interesting.
That train is basically their lifeline.
Yeah, it is, and that's their public transportation.
Yeah,
so
that's critical transportation infrastructure for those people.
And this year, because there's no cruise industry to really help support that railroad, they're running one train north a day, one train south the next day, one train north the day. Because usually there's two, they go both ways every day. And they've canceled the flag stop train and everything has to go on the one train. And so it's been interesting. I think I kind of consider myself fortunate that I got to see it be different. And the train did not have Princess Cruise Line or Holland America Cars or any of that. It was just the Alaska Railroad. And so I thought that was, I don't know, special in a weird way.
No, it is. It's out of the ordinary operations, right? I mean, that's something that I'm always, as someone who's trying to put content for people to see, I'm always looking for something unusual. And that would definitely fit into what's, unusual, something you don't see every day, right?
Yeah. So. And I think my favorite thing, my one piece of advice about riding the Alaska Railroad that I would give is spend the money to ride in the gold class car because it has an outdoor platform.
Oh,
and
cool.
For the girl that likes to hang out and look around up and down the train, it was like heaven for me. It was perfect. I spent 8 hours pretty much outside on the train.
Sounds like it was worth it.
It was totally worth it. So I'm glad I did that. So if anybody's planning to ride it, let me know. I can help you with other things. But it was a great experience. It was a well-run railroad. They had a position I'd never heard of before. They had their conductor. And I met him and he explained what we were doing, flag stopping and all that. And then I met the specialist and there were two of them, a lady and her husband. And I said, "Are you another conductor?" And she said, "No, I'm the specialist." And I said, "What's your job duties as a specialist?" And she said, "I'm here to check on everything on the train. Basically what the conductor does, except I don't get off the train and do things." She's like, "I check on the people, make sure everything's going well in the cars." And so I thought that was interesting. A little bit different.
Never heard of that before.
Yeah.
Now, that is a good question that came up. I believe the answer for you might be yes, because if I recall correctly, the Alaska Railroad, in order to freight cars in, they have a car ferry service. So I believe foreign cars do appear on that railroad.
Did you see the question, Michelle?
Well, this is a question I could answer, but not during the live show. But we passed a freight train. We passed an Alaska Freight, and I videoed the whole thing. So we could go back and slow it down and look at
and
all
see
the
what it is.
cars and see
Yeah.
where they're from. That's the only
Yeah.
thing I can do to help with this question. I saw a lot of Alaska Railroad cars sitting stationary on sightings.
But I believe there might be a few foreign ones because I know they ferry back and forth. But I've
Good
heard
question.
rumors that that might be changing soon if CN or CP decide to go into Alaska and have them actually be connected to the entire network instead of being kind of solo.
Instead of being isolated like they are.
Yeah.
Interesting. I don't know. It was interesting to see them moving freight. You know, I thought that they had some cars I'd never seen before. They were these strange white cars, kind of roundish. I don't know. They're in my video. I'll have to throw it up on Facebook and somebody can tell me about them.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. Can you send me a video or a picture of some of that stuff, Michelle, for our
I
catch
sure
of the
can.
month?
I didn't
podcast?
post that video because I did the whole train. It was really long, so I didn't put it on Facebook. So I will do that. I'll send that to you and we'll answer this question.
Maybe we can talk about it offline because I've been asking more people for more catch of the month videos and pictures and stuff. I have a really funny one this coming month. I'm not going to give it away, but so in case you're wondering, I don't even know if you know this, Michelle, but during my podcast, that once a month thing that I do on the first Saturday of every month,
Okay.
I have something called the catch of the month. Well, actually, because I
Yeah,
asked
I
you
know.
if I could use some of your pictures, right?
Yeah.
And so people send them in. Well, there's one. It's a train, but it's not what people are thinking. I'm just going to put it up next month, and it'll be funny.
And see what people think.
So, yeah, see what people think. So anyway,
That's cool.
Dave, I wanted to get your reaction to our official topic, right? Which was, what do you think about how the apparent resurgence of steam is affecting the model manufacturers? That was kind of really the context we were talking about it. So let's get your take on that, and then we'll let you go after that.
Well, as I mentioned before in the chat, just like out here at the museum, we teach the younger generation, the younger generation, how to restore and operate and handle the older pieces of equipment. And because of that, that's how people are getting more involved in steam, because steam's a lot harder to maintain, find parts for, etc. Because all the diesels, they have interchangeable parts and all that fun stuff. Versus a steam engine, those parts are either A, hard to find, or B, you got to find someone to make it for you.
Right.
So, yes, I can see that with the big boy being out and about. Same for 844, 760, the nickel plate 765. That all plays a role too as they go out touring, and that's another big influence on kids getting models and all that, because they see the real life version operating. Now they want to get a model of it.
Right.
I agree. I think so too. And I hope to see more manufacturers making steam models. I hope to see a lot more because my Coombers and Toltec 487 is brass. I can't run it. So yeah, I'm hoping that there's more of that. You know what's interesting this year that I've noticed is that there's a lot of visitation by steam locomotives to other railroads. Like the 611 is in Strasbourg for the summer. I think that's really interesting. And did you know that the Rio Grande Southern number 20 is going to the Coombers and Toltec for a weekend?
Is that in August?
Yeah, and I think I'm going to go. I could. I don't know. I'm going to try. And they're doing a photo op that day,
Yeah, you should try to get down there if you can. I know other people.
Michelle needs an extra vacation day to go down there.
Well, I think it's I saw the date in August. I could make it happen.
Yeah, it's like the 26th or 27th or something like that. Does that sound right?
Yeah. It's whether or not I can afford the ticket on the photo train.
Right. Well, they wanted to run
chase the train.
Yeah, they wanted to run that Great Steam Roundup, I think is what they're calling it, last year, but the virus had other plans for that, I guess.
Right. So
that's
interesting. Are there others that we know of that are visiting? Those are the only two I know that are visiting other railroads.
I think, I'm not entirely sure about this, but I think part of the original plan was to have Eureka. That's the Eureka and Palisades number. I don't remember what number it is. I have a video of it on the channel somewhere, but I think that one's going to be there too. It's a 440. It's a wood burner. As a matter of fact, I know it's going to be there because they're.
Yeah,
oh, wait a minute.
Well, they've had that down there before. I've seen where they've had that at the Kimbers and Toltec before. But there is something coming this year for a special event.
You mean at Kimbers and Toltec?
Besides the 20, yeah. There's something else besides the 20 that they have coming. And I'm not thinking of it off the top of my head. So
yeah, I know that they just finished restoration on one of the ones that was already there.
Oh, that was the 168. And yes, and that's a beautiful little locomotive, and it has a little sister locomotive on display in Alamosa, the 169. So
cool.
They got the 168 restored and running. So that's another one like you were talking about earlier, where there's only a couple left. There's only 2 of these left, and now one of them is running.
Yeah, for some reason, I keep thinking that Eureka is going to be there because I thought they were going to double head it with something because it's not the most powerful engine. But I'm trying to remember now if that was something that happened before and someone was telling me about it, or if it's what's planned to happen.
It has happened, but I was thinking the wood burners were coming in August because they're recreating the chili line with the 168. That might be what this year is, and then the wood burners are going to come next year. But the 168 is one that would have ran on the chili line to New Mexico. So they're trying to recreate that experience and train with that. So that's kind of their theme. And I think that's why the Trains Magazine tour is coming to Colorado for that one.
Yeah.
And I think the 20 is an additional add-on recently to that whole kind of event. So
this might be what I was talking about. I think that Eureka is supposed to run with the Glenbrook. So Garrett would probably know that. I know Garrett. He's a matter of fact, it's funny Garrett should happen to pop on here because I'm going to see Garrett this coming weekend. Before I move on, though, I wanted to ask you, Dave, if there was anything else that you wanted to say before we let you go.
So, and I know Michelle might talk about this later. The Mark Twain Zephyr is still under restoration, and I know that's on something on her visit list.
That is on my visit list. Yep, definitely. I got a whole trip planned to go up there, go to Green Bay, and then go over and see that. And yeah, I got it all mapped out already. Just a matter of when.
I mean,
thanks, Dave.
I mean, this year for me, the big boy is going as close as St. Louis. It's not heading back further east, although I wish it did, but maybe on the next go around, it might go further east.
Maybe next time. Yeah.
Cool.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks, Dave.
Then. Thanks for calling in.
Good to talk to you.
Thanks for always calling in. I really appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.
Yep.
Cool. So anyway, Garrett, I was just mentioning Garrett Franklin's talking here about Glenbrook from the Nevada State Railroad Museum going out to Kimbers and Toltec for that event. And that might be what I'm thinking of. That might be the second engine that they're going to double head with the Eureka. I just don't remember. I hear so many things and I have so much stuff that's on the stovetop, cooking that I just can't remember everything.
I'm in the same boat. I got a little bit going on.
Right. Plus getting older doesn't help,
Yeah, isn't that the truth?
I keep telling people that my hard drive is full, it needs to be defragmented and I need to erase some junk off of it to, applications I don't use anymore.
Well, and I'm talking about the Kimbers and Toltec who do all kinds of stuff. So it's hard to keep it straight anyway.
Yeah. So I started to mention about this weekend, the people at Railtown 1897 are having an evening special photographers charter train and this is really cool. They're actually the way that line is set up, the engine runs out with the cab in reverse, right? So it runs out with the tender first, and then they do a run around and they come back with the locomotive on the front end at that point, facing the right direction.
Okay.
Well, they have a turntable there, so they're going to turn a locomotive and run it the other way, which never happens. Like you never see a locomotive facing, the right direction. Right on the way out. It's always on the way back.
Right.
So to see it running that way is going to be unusual. But what's more is because they only run the locomotive one direction 100% of the rest of the time, it's very difficult to get good photos or videos in the afternoon because the way the track is oriented, the sun's in the wrong place.
Yeah.
Right. So there's just nowhere to get a good shot I think there's like one place in the afternoon that I know of, and I've been up and I mean, it's only like a 3-mile run, so it's not like it's a huge line, but so they're going to face the locomotive in the right direction for afternoon. And
That's exciting.
Right. I'm really looking forward to it because remember I was just talking a few minutes ago about something you don't see all the time.
Yeah.
And that's something you never see. You never see the engine facing the other direction on that line.
Well, that's really cool. You know, it's those special things we were just talking about when it's something that's different. Mm-hmm. It's like really memorable.
Sure. So. I mean, what I think is kind of cool about it is that if you, like, for example, if you go back to Alaska under normal circumstances, you're going to see something new because they weren't running the regular way when you were there last time.
Well, I'll see all the Princess Cruise Line cars. They have those specific cars. Oh, I have to tell you, the gold class cars on the Alaska Railroad that they own were all made just like 10 miles from Greeley in Fort Lupton.
Oh, really?
At a company that was called Colorado Railcar. And they all have a plaque on the upper outdoor platform has a plaque that says made by Colorado Railcar, Fort Lupton, Colorado, 2007. And my friend Al Rohde, who works on our speeder, actually worked for Colorado Railcar and helped build all those cars.
Oh, that's cool.
And so it was really special for me to be on those cars since it has such a local story for us. So that's just another thing I loved about the Alaska Railroad. So I thought it was cool.
That's really cool. I got it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. They were really cool pictures. I mean, well, you know, Michelle, I have the other channel, TSG channel 2. I don't know if you ever watch anything on it, but I go out and I look for places like the pictures that you shared.
It was so easy to photograph because everything is pretty, so I couldn't screw it up.
Well, they were good pictures too. So I gotta say something. I'm noticing, and it's been happening the whole time that we've been on today. And this happens all the time, but you just kind of expect it. But I'm just noticing it. Check this out. Do you see this link?
Isn't about how cool that you're awesome.
You know where I'm going with this.
So cool. Yeah.
Watch this. There's another link. There's all these links that keep showing up.
Sydney's awesome.
We have the best assistant producer in the world here. And I think it's worth saying that and saying thank you for being the best assistant producer in the world.
Yes. Thank you, Sydney.
She's just laughing over here.
She's awesome.
Totally not expected. Yeah. If I had my camera, I'd turn it over there and make her mad for being on camera.
Throw something at you, yeah.
You might see a shoe hit me in the side of my head, or actually a flip flop because she's wearing flip flops right now. She really gets dressed up for these shows, you know.
That's funny. There was one more thing I wanted to talk about the Alaska Railroad. I hope people aren't bored. Are you bored if I talk about the experience of riding it?
Keep talking. I want to hear about it.
So there's basically 3 different trips you can take on the Alaska Railroad that like different destination. Well, there's probably actually 4 because I think they have something that goes off of Denali. You can go up to Fairbanks and Denali's on the way. So that's north out of Anchorage, and that's a trip. Somewhere off of there, you turn and go somewhere, but I don't know what that one is. When you go south out of Anchorage, the main ride is 4 hours down to Seward, which is a port, which is a beautiful harbor, beautiful mountains. It was kind of my favorite place, I think, was Seward. And that 4-hour ride was my favorite train ride. You go by glaciers and valleys, and there's more waterfalls than I think in all of the islands of Hawaii. And it's just, I was so shocked. Alaska looks like Hawaii, but it's cold. It's as lush and full of waterfalls for different reasons. They have rain in Alaska as glaciers and snow. But it was every bit as like moving water everywhere. Just really beautiful. But they also have a turnoff, another train that goes south towards Seward, but it turns east and it goes to Whittier. And to get to Whittier, it goes through a 2.5-mile tunnel through a mountain that cars drive through. So for us to experience Whittier, my sister-in-law, who was very thoughtful, said, Michelle, you're not taking the train. We're going to drive because you need to see the train come out of the tunnel in Whittier. And so we got up really early because the way the tunnel works is at the top of the hour and the bottom of the hour, you can go east into the tunnel. And at the quarter hour and the 45, you can go west through the tunnel. And And it's kind of weird how they set it up. And then when the train comes, it comes twice a day and it moves everybody kind of around. But you have like this 15-minute window every hour to actually come or go from Whittier. So you have
Hold
to
on a second.
plan.
Wait a second. So the train and the vehicle traffic use the same tunnel? Is that what you're saying?
It is a single lane tunnel with rail down the center.
That is so strange.
It's 2.5 miles of darkness, and it's like a wet cave. There's water dripping in it. You can see the rail, and there's concrete. And it's just wide enough for a car. I could not imagine driving a bus through it. I would just be like, but the rail cars fit, so it'll fit. But it's a really interesting experience. So we went through, and as soon as we got to the other side, we just parked because within that 15 minutes that the people were done coming through, then the train gets to go through. And so, but the train, they time it just exactly perfect so that the train never stops. It's just like the road, like it's all on a timetable. And so the train just comes right on through. So I'm standing on the other side and here comes the train out of the tunnel. And then,
so cool.
And then the cars get to go the other way. And then you can leave Whittier. And there's no houses in Whittier. There's one apartment building and every worker has to live in the one apartment building. It's really a strange community because it's so isolated.
Yeah.
And there's no land because it was originally a hidden military base during World War II.
Uh-huh.
And so there's just enough land for a couple restaurants and a marina and this one apartment building.
Michelle, you're not going to believe this. Watch the screen.
The Anton. Look at her. The Anton.
She got a link for that too.
But it was such a crazy experience to drive over the rail through this tunnel and then see the train come through it. And I'm going to ride the train through it next time. But I am glad that I saw how it works. And
yeah, that is cool. I've never even heard of that before. So
yeah, it was an interesting experience. And then they have one more train that's interesting. It's called the Glacier Experience, and it's for hikers. And they run it down and they drop you and you hike and you go off and hike and they go to these different places and they come back and pick you up later.
Uh-huh.
And it has like 4 different hiking stops. So here you go.
It almost sounds to me, Michelle, like you should do a tour up to Alaska now that you know all this stuff.
I know. I should totally run an Alaska rail tour.
Right. I know it would be an expensive tour that I can't afford to go to, but I can at least see the pictures you post from it.
So I will say this, though. It's not, I always thought, oh my God, it'd be so expensive. There's no way I could afford to do it. The flights, I found my round trip flight was $320.
That's all?
Yeah, that was it. I flew on the 4th of July. Nobody wants to fly on the holiday. And I came home on the cheapest day of the week of whatever week it was, so I flew home on a Thursday and I got my round trip ticket. So that wasn't bad. The gold car service was $350 to Denali. And it was I didn't do gold car to Seward, which I will do next time, but I was in an old Union Pacific dome car, painted Alaska now. So I was right at home and that was $110 or something like that. And it really wasn't, I was expecting it to be unobtainable. I'll put it that way. To go do this
very
trip.
affordable. Yeah, sounds affordable to me.
It wasn't hardly any different than riding Colorado trains for the cost of a week in Colorado versus the cost of a week in Alaska. And I didn't say that out loud because you'll have to come to Colorado because I sit on our tourism board. So
yeah,
make sure you come to Colorado first before you go to Alaska. Come to Colorado.
Okay, I'll tell you what. I promise I will come to Colorado before I go to Alaska.
Okay, that sounds good. Okay, so that if anybody has questions about the Alaska Railroad, I'd be happy to answer what I can, what I know. We have a volunteer with a model of the train that's just beautiful. If you've never seen the model, it's lovely. So I'm going to have to own one.
I have a friend, Marty, who I've known him, as a matter of, it's funny we're having this conversation. He's a big Alaska Railroad fan. He has Alaska Railroad, a whole bunch of stuff. He's part of the Carquinez Model Railroad Society, which is a group here, locally to where I live, that has a really big layout that's built for operations. It's not quite as big as the Colorado Model Railroad Museum, but it's one of the bigger layouts in my area. And it's a club layout. But what's unusual about it is that it's a club layout that's built and operated really for operations. Okay. And Marty just came up today whoops, I just blasted the earbuds out of my ears. Came up on my Facebook today as our 5-year anniversary of being friends, which I thought was weird. It doesn't seem like I've known Marty that long, but I have.
Your friendversary.
Yeah, our friendiversary.
Okay, Sparky's telling me that I should have enough connections to get 4014 to Alaska. Well, if you can find the ship that can transport that thing, so
yeah, I'm hilarious. I'm sure Dave's being facetious when he talks about that. But yeah,
that's funny.
Pretty funny. Oh, there it is. There it is.
That's hilarious.
Oh man. So, well, we had another caller lined up, but he disappeared, and now he's over here making excuses about delayed audio or something. I was looking forward to bringing him on because Mark actually is big into Steam, and one of the things that he's working on. This is how I know Mark. Well, he joined the TSG train crew actually, and he had, the Iowa Scale Engineering. Mm-hmm. They have the proto throttle. That's a diesel thing, a diesel control stand. Well, Mark is working on something similar, but for steam engines. And
does he have like an engineer and a fireman, or can you do both as one human? That's my first question. Yeah,
we need to bring him back on so that he can tell you about it.
I got questions.
Yeah, because we had that conversation. Well, he had that conversation at the convention. Mark was one of our convention goers last couple weeks ago when we did the convention, and he had a lot of people interested in his steam throttle. I don't know what he's calling it. I don't think it's proto throttle. I don't even know if it has a name, but he had the prototype of it, the original prototype, and it looks really cool. So I hope that he would be able to call back, because I'd like to have.
Yeah, I got questions about that. Call back in.
So if he does,
we have the ultimate throttle at the museum, the Colorado Model Railroad Museum. We call it the ultimate throttle because it's a full simulator. It's a Western Pacific cab, and we've got the camera hooked up. We've got everything working now, except we got to get the whole throttle itself hooked up, and then you can actually sit there and do the brake and everything right there in the cab, and it'll be on the layout behind you. And so I think that'll be fun with the camera car, but we're getting there.
Yeah. Someone was asking here, late night model railroad. Yes, Joey. That's Joey. Jack Burgess does have a steam backhead that was made to quarter scale. Okay. And I don't know, did you see that episode, Michelle? With Jack Burgess showing? It was an episode of Model Railroading with Jack Burgess. Write it down. And it's called Working with Brass. And part of this episode is Jack shows a steam engine backhead that he fabricated in quarter scale with all the parts. They work. Like his Johnson bar moves, and
cool.
And the throttle moves, and they don't just move for the fun of it. He actually had this thing set up with his previous layout to run engines on the layout using this engine cab. It's like he even has the armrest on it that's padded and everything. It's like it's really cool.
That's cool. So that's kind of like what we have. We have the full cab with the chair, and well, it's like half the cab. It's just the engineer side, but that's really cool.
Mark is coming back, so let me find out if I can make the picture on the screen go away, and we're going to bring him in. You ready, Mark? Should we try this?
Give it a go.
Try.
There we go. Hey.
Welcome, Mark. This is for people watching. This is Mark Stafford from Australia, and hopefully his audio is working. It looks like
the problem is I've got multiple feeds of sound.
You got to turn your YouTube off.
Turn YouTube off.
Oh,
I've done this before.
Turn my YouTube off.
As he turns off YouTube, he'll be able to hear us and be able to think. I know how this works.
Is that what I did wrong?
See, he's smiling now because he can actually hear us. And you thought it was just more voices in your head, didn't you, Mark?
Yeah, it's starting to get freaky.
Delay. Yep.
It's getting severely freaky.
Yeah. So tell Michelle, ask him your question.
Yep. So if you're building a steam throttle, is it one human or two humans to run it? You gotta have an engineer and a fireman, or can you do both?
No, it's one human, and it's only the driver.
Okay. So
Yeah,
you're not controlling your boiler temperature, your pressure. You're not doing your pressure or anything like that. You're just controlling the throttle side. Okay.
No. The premise that we've got is that the fireman is Mr. Perfection.
Okay.
Right. They just feed the absolute spot on amount of water in.
There's no black smoke. It's perfect. It's just
It's like that nice fluffy smoke all the time. Yeah, just
perfect. Okay.
Burning beautifully. Yeah.
Always the right PSI.
Yeah, that's right. You're at maximum boiler pressure all the time.
Okay. All right. So, well, that's a good assumption to make. I like it. Okay.
Well, the problem is if you start doing the boiler, then that becomes a full-time job.
Yeah, and you'd have to simulate what's really going on there because the model doesn't actually use a boiler. So, but the model will move like it's got throttle and brake and everything, but it doesn't have PSI. So, you'd have to simulate all of that. It would be a huge undertaking.
Well, we have simulated it behind the scenes.
Okay.
Remember, this is not me, right? I'm not the developer of the ProtoSteam. I'm just one part, a very small part actually, in the whole scheme of things. So the really smart guys, I'm the equivalent of Scott Thornton, right? I'm the dumb one.
Oh, like me. You're like the me of this project?
Yeah, would Scott agree with you on that, Mark? I mean,
yeah, I think he would. like I'm the idiot who knows nothing and sort of keeps going. But what are we going to do here, guys? What are we going to do there?
You're the question asker, like me. Yeah. So it's called the ProtoSteam.
Yeah, that's our working title. Is the ProtoSteam.
Very
cool. Do you happen to have it there, Mark? I remember during the convention you showed it to. Oh, here, let me make this big. I want you to see this, Michelle. This is really cool.
Let's look at this.
Yeah, take a look at this.
Oh, I had a drop off on the front cover.
Uh-oh.
No, I made you big just in time to see that too. Is it going to be okay? Did anything break?
It fell apart.
Oh, did it break?
No.
Oh, no. Okay. Let's see. I love the red knob, the handles. That's awesome.
Hang on. Got to get it there. That's the reverser.
Yeah, look at that.
There's the brakes, and this is sort of just the mock-up of the case.
Do the knobs actually do stuff? The red and the green?
Yeah, they do.
Handle knobs. Okay.
Yeah. So the throttle.
Oh, it's at the top. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And the reverser.
Okay. The reverser. Okay.
So it's in full forward.
Mm-hmm.
And the brakes are here.
Looks like it's missing the handle.
You're missing the handle, but it'll come out the hole there,
this is
right?
only a mock-up. This is just a mock-up. So, that's the idea of it.
Okay, that's really cool.
The electronics, I think, are done in the main. The prototype is that.
Oh, shit. Maybe we should make it big again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the inside.
Yeah, that's what is actually electronically going to be inside that box. And it's not all worked out. It's still a long way to go. So don't believe that, tomorrow you're going to see a product, because you're not.
That's really neat, though.
Yeah, maybe not, but it's something, again, Mark, that is unusual. People don't see something like that every day. And I think it's a cool idea, as you know. We've had that conversation.
Yeah. I think it's a really cool idea. It's taken way longer to actually work out all the issues than I would have ever imagined. We're approaching 3 years now.
Wow.
Wow. And all the issues are not worked out.
Is there a system it's going to work with, like specifically that you like? If I bought this throttle, will it work with my NCE system?
The easy answer is if you can make a telephone Y throttle work on your system, you can make this throttle work on your system.
Okay.
Right. So most, like, I don't know.
You're going to need a JMRI based system, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
You've got to have a Y throttle ability to get into it.
Yeah, that's.
And if you've got that, then you're in.
I have a question. The question is on the screen here. I don't know that I've ever asked you this before, Mark, but is there some website or anything where you guys are putting information about this up?
Yeah, there's a Facebook page, and it's got absolutely zero content on it.
Well, that's very helpful.
Look, seriously, where we're at is this could fail at any point in time, like at any stage. It could all just die. And one of the issues has been like, and it's still, that's a piece of plastic, right? It's not strong enough. It looks good, but it's not strong enough. And you can break it off, right? So unless I've got a lever that's robust enough to input into a pot, then I haven't got anything.
And spares for the people that drop them and break them.
Well, right? Or the guy that holds it up and the face falls off, right?
A little bit about the museum. We send a number of NCE throttles back to NCE for fixing because they've been dropped.
Yeah,
often, and they're amazing. They actually can fix them and send them back.
But we need, if we're going to have a throttle that we're going to put out there to you guys for real, then it has to be reasonable. I don't ever see it ever being like you can drop it with impunity. I think if you drop it, you'll destroy it. But it's got to be able to handle just normal fair wear and tear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Or you're going to have a lot of unhappy customers.
Well, I don't know that I want any customers myself, personally. Seriously, I don't want to. I don't want to start a business. I've had a model railway business before, making models for people, and I got to hate it. I got to absolutely
it takes the fun out for you. Yeah.
Yeah. The fun goes out of it if I go into production. So I don't want to be a manufacturer of this. I want to produce the product, and maybe I'll be forced into making 30 or 50 or something like that. But I don't want to create a business where I'm, making more and more and more and doing, service on it.
You need to sell it to somebody and let them do all that work, or get a business partner and do all that work.
I want to give it away. Personally, I want to give it away.
I'll send my address. I'm just kidding.
You get your first customer.
No, I don't want to give the product away. I want to give the IP away.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'd hope that somewhere along the line somebody would want to run with this. And one of the things I really would like to see happen is if the code can go into a repository like JRMI, where anybody who's got the skills can incrementally improve the code going forward forever. So in the same way that JRMI is just like this magnificent piece of code that's been developed by, huge numbers of people over lots and lots of years. I'd like to see that happen to this.
Okay.
So that it's not in the hands of just one person, but it's in the community space, and the community decide how it should be developed and what features should be incorporated and what features should be left out.
They can add their own creativity to it.
Well, like I could easily see, for example, along the way, somebody producing a fireman version, just by way of example.
That kind of answers the question that came up in the screen here, which is whether it controls functions like bells and whistles as well. And the answer to that question really is it depends however somebody ends up eventually programming it to work, right? So
the thought, for example, on the whistle, I'm hoping at some point you'll pull down a lever and it'll be a pot behind it, and at the first part of the thing it will trigger one whistle sound, and the second movement of the pot, it will do a second whistle sound, and the third one a third whistle sound. So you might have 5 recordings of different whistles from 1 through 5, depending on how far you pull the whistle down, and each is slightly different. So if you move the pot up and down, it would output different whistle sounds depending on how far you pulled it down.
Yeah.
Right.
Just like a real one. How much steam is going through it?
That's right.
Yeah, except that are they each always the same sound at each position?
Correct.
Each position will be exactly the same sound every time.
Yeah, that's a limitation of the technology as I see it.
In general, as a whole, because it's me. Do you want to know what I did? I was having dinner with Nancy from Soundtracks, the owner of Soundtracks, and I said, "Okay, so Nancy, I want a decoder where I could like do the real Ed Dickens whistle. I want to go woo, and I want to be able to like change it all the time." And she's like, "Do you understand how the technology works, Michelle?"
Yeah, it's on or off, basically.
And I'm like, okay, well, there has to be a way to at least get more than just one sound. So she's awesome. Yeah. I love Nancy. She's such a good sport. Yeah. She always handles my questions like that.
Yeah, Nancy's quite right there. In the, let's say you divided the segment up into 5, you could play 5 sound types, but they would be limited to those 5.
Right. But you can play in whatever order you want, so that's better than.
That's right. That's
easier
what I
to
sort
get
of
to
think
than
too.
like CVs trying to get to all the different numbers quickly on an NCE throttle. I just give up. I'm like, I just get this one whistle.
Yeah, I don't want to press, buttons one at a time to get the 5 different ones. I just want to have the lever that goes up and down.
Okay.
That gives you 5 different sounds depending on how far you pull the lever.
That'd be way more fun than pushing a button.
Yeah. Yep. But it's not accurate either. That's what you've got to remember. That's why I'd sort of like the community to take over the code and improve it. Somebody smarter than me comes up with something and goes, yeah, this is what I'll do. And then puts it in and then releases it to the world, and the world loads it up into their throttle and away it goes. That's a vision that I'd hope that it'd get to.
I like that vision.
It becomes driven by modelers for modelers.
That's awesome. We have a sponsor up here, so I'm going to answer this question real quick. So we're pausing your conversation for a second, asking if they can come and get a behind the scenes tour. All I got to do is ask. Yeah, and if I'm there, I'll do it. And if not, ask one of the volunteers standing around the dispatch counter because they love giving behind-the-scenes tours. So that's a question about the museum, and we'd love to. And somebody else, I don't know if it was you, Robert, or someone else. Oh yeah, Matthew, coming in September. I will be in town basically during most weeks. There's only a couple weekends I'm gone between now and mid-September, but on September 19th, I start traveling again. So come early. So that's perfect. He says early September. I'd love to give you a tour. Send me an email or find me on Facebook. Send me a Facebook message or something. So it's been fun. Yeah, I've been given a lot of tours lately. I came back from my Alaska trip, and I've been in the museum, I think, 2 days now, and I've already given like 4 private tours. So Here you go.
The tours are worth it too. Someone wants to know if they allow guest trains. I think I know the answer to that question, but
well, the official answer is typically no. It just
sorry,
depends.
but
Okay, so there's a couple of different things that I could say would. So our basic answer is no. You get to run a personal train after you give 200 hours of volunteer time. And then your train has to be certified to run on the layout. So a lot of times people that want to run a train, it's not capable or equipped to run on our layout. You got to have it fully certified. You got to have a resistor on at least one wheel of every car on your train. You got to have some sort of decoder in it that works with our DCC system. And there's a lot that goes into it, and certain weights because we have big grades. So there's all that. Now, having said that, occasionally for a special event or a special guest, we have run a train that from someone who's not a museum volunteer. But that usually goes through me as a special event and that kind of thing. Does that make sense?
I know someone who ran the.
I got to point this way on the screen. This guy over here brought a special train and we let him run it. So he's the exception.
I didn't run it though. Alvin ran it.
Yeah.
Alvin ran the what is that?
He ran the 1111, and I posted it, and then everybody got upset with me because I guess
they got mad at you because 1111.
It's a drama locomotive.
Yeah,
but it was a great model, and so we were trying out the model. And so I will tell you this: you said circus train, so we have a circus weekend every year. If you came earlier to that, and we knew your train would run, we might be interested in running your circus train as a special event. So it's all case by case. I have to put it that way. Okay.
Now back to Mark. Sorry.
No, I've got a question for Michelle.
Sure.
How did your ladies in model railways go at the convention?
Well, that's actually a question for Sydney because at that exact moment I was on a boat and I had 0 cell phone signal. I was still in Alaska. So I missed it.
Hey,
I was super sad. We need to do it again.
Can I tell you something? And this isn't to make you feel bad or anything, but I just want you to know that people at the convention were really disappointed not to see you.
I'm so sorry.
I'm not kidding. They're like, "Hey, why isn't Michelle here?" I'm like, "Hey,
well, we set it up.
To have vacations too sometimes, you know."
Well, I thought it was a day. We honestly thought it was a day I was going to be in Anchorage and I would have signal, but most of Alaska, like 90% of the time, I had 0 cell phone signal.
I'm not surprised. I mean, that's a remote.
If you saw my posts, they were all at like 2 a.m. Colorado time because that's when we got back home and had internet.
Right.
But
I have a question for you, Mark, because you were a regular attendee at the convention. And I don't know that I've talked to anybody who was just a regular attendee at the convention. What were your impressions? I mean, if you don't mind me changing the subject, I'd like to know.
Oh, no, I'm very happy to talk about the convention. I was extremely impressed. I've been to, I think, 2 conventions here in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
And
you mean in person?
And in-person conventions. I'm a narrow gauge guy, so I go to narrow gauge conventions. I have been known to do that. I actually thought it was better than an in-person convention, and the reason I thought it was the interpersonal connections to individuals was much better. The discussion, I talked to Dick Bronson at length for a couple of hours, and it was terrific. I had a wonderful discussion about LCC and maybe incorporating LCC into this throttle, which I think would be a really smart move if I could work out the libraries. But that guy, he's a really smart guy and way smarter than me. And you know, I just really appreciated the time that was allotted. And I also thought I would be intimidated to talk to some of these people in a real convention. Joe Fugate, I wouldn't have gone near Joe Fugate, for example, because he's just like one of the gods of the world. But I think people had the opportunity to talk to him.
Yeah.
Because you're all equal on a Zoom. You're all the same size square. Or
Yeah.
the same.
It's a bit like coming onto this. This was fairly intimidating when I had like multiple voices going on in my head, and I said, I've done something wrong. I don't know what I've done wrong, but I've done something wrong. And you told me what it was, which was good.
Isn't it nice that we helped you instead of just sitting here laughing at you the whole time?
Yeah. Try to understand this in your head.
Right?
Yeah.
That just goes to show that we are nice people on this show.
So I have a question.
No, I figured that you are nice people.
Mark, I have a question from what you said. It's burning a hole in my paper here.
Yeah.
You said LCC, and is that layout command control? Is that where you do stuff on your layout? You said you're going to incorporate that into your throttle?
Yeah. I
what are you going to do from the engineer side on your layout?
The advantage of LCC as opposed to DCC is that LCC is a two-way communications thing, right?
Okay.
DCC is one way only, right? Okay. My throttle can talk to a decoder. The decoder can't talk to my throttle.
Okay.
Under DCC.
Right.
Under LCC, they become peers electronically, right? So
okay.
The
something
decoder,
on the layout can affect the throttle?
Yes.
Interesting.
Now, things to think about are how many cars are on the end of the train, right? In a DCC world, you never know that.
We do. Well, we know where the end is because we put a resistor on every car.
But you're not a DCC decoder. You're a human, right?
No, well, our computer can tell where the end of the train is because of the way we do our cars.
Well, but if you were doing operations and you loaded up half of your cars and you didn't load the other half, how much weight's on the end of your supposed real locomotive hauling those cars?
Okay.
Your resistor doesn't tell you that.
No, we have no idea about the weight. All we know is location. That's the only thing I can tell is location.
But I can see the time when an LCC fitted system can tell you how heavy your train is and then feed that into your momentum settings and then that loading up your throttle to make everything slow down. So at the moment it's done with things like pressing the drive hold or ramping up the momentum settings. But what if it happened automatically without you looking at it? You hook up the train, it knows what it's doing, it tells the loco that it's this heavy, and then you try and pull the sucker away.
And it's going to be hard.
Really heavy.
And then we hit our 2% grade, and then you're really struggling. Okay.
Yeah. And hitting the 2% grade. If the layout told the throttle, it'd hit a 2% grade.
It could change the way it works with the train. Okay, I understand that. Okay, that makes more sense to me. Because I was like, what are you I'm thinking one way here. I didn't realize it would communicate two directions. So I'm totally like, what are you going to change on the layout? You know, is what all I was thinking. So that's really interesting.
See, it opens up a whole new world of thinking. Right?
Yeah.
If you've got a two-way communication. Right? If you've got a one-way, you got to do it all one way.
It sounds like it would work really great on a home layout. You know, like that'd be really fun for those home operations. And on our layout, if everybody had momentum and moved slow, we'd never get anybody around the stinking railroad. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but I like the idea of going really slow because really slow makes your layout really big.
We do prototypical speeds. I should say that we fly around our layout, but we do. We found that sometimes too much detail it makes it really hard. We have a defect detector. We can randomize it. We can randomly throw a defect into a train, but when we do that, the whole railroad's held up for a really long time, and it's not a great visitor experience. It's a great volunteer experience.
Great operations experience.
But from the visitor side,
Michelle, you're absolutely right. Like the experience that you're trying to give your people is one of a viewer of a railroad.
Correct. Yeah. So I always have to think from the visitor point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. And I get that. and a lot of the time you need to run your trains faster rather than slower because they get bored. But in
But
a
in
Joe
your
Fugate
private
world,
operations, yeah, you can be as prototypical as you want.
Yeah.
That'd be really awesome for those people that want that absolute experience like that.
yeah, I sort of think that's where Proto Throttle has really created a niche, because it gives the modeler the impression that they're moving a train with lots and lots of mass, and they have that much mass to actually brake as well.
So can you do the thing where when you go over the hill, you have to start applying the dynamic brakes because now the weight's all coming over at you, and you got you could make that like you could
I've got
simulate
a
all that
steam
stuff.
engine, Michelle. A steam engine doesn't have dynamic brakes. You have to
Okay, well,
stop on
sorry,
the
I'm
top of the
thinking-
hill, and you have to go and set all
Sorry,
the
I'm thinking
brakes.
diesels.
And then you get halfway down the hill and you have to stop it, and then you have to let all the brakes cool down.
Yeah,
And then, yeah.
you hold
and
up
then
the
you
whole railroad.
Yeah, you clog up the whole railroad. But that's not how modelers do it at the moment, is it?
No, not at all.
See, so I'm sort of saying is that LCC gives model railroads a place to move into.
Mhm.
It's not that you have to go there, right? It's not for everyone. It's certainly not for your Greeley model railway experience
Right.
there, because that's not your aim. Your aim
Right.
is to like display to the public. But Joe Fugate, his aim is to produce a railroad that works like real and has real problems and has real issues and real difficulties, and he wants to struggle with those difficulties. That's what we're trying to do.
Right. That's awesome. I love this. I want to play with it. I want to go
I
somewhere.
want to play with it too.
I want to do this.
Trouble is, I blew up my DCC system, and I'm waiting for a new system to arrive so I can test the sucker. I've got like version 1 ready to go.
Okay, so according to our topic, to make your steam throttle, your proto steam, were you inspired to do that by seeing the real steam that's like current projects going on and stuff? Did it change your modeling at all that there's been so much steam restoration going on in the real world? Is maybe the question.
Okay, I'm old, right? I'm a lot older than you two guys, a lot older. I actually remember steam as a little kid running past our house.
Nice.
I saw it as a kid.
Yeah.
I was enthralled by steam. I've always been enthralled by steam. I went as a 7-year-old on a train by myself 60 mile away to go to a preserve Puffing Billy steam setup where I collected tickets as a volunteer on that railway.
Oh, wow.
And I was 7.
Wow. That's awesome.
Right.
So,
And Puffing Billy still is in operation. I have viewers who volunteer there now.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
They would send
And-
pictures all the time of the place. I forgot who they were now because they haven't sent pictures in a while. But if I think long enough,
I
I'll
model
remember.
Puffing Billy.
Yeah.
Puffing Billy is the place. This is, in fact, the model after the brake system on Puffing Billy.
Is it?
That's
Aw.
actually what it looks like.
What a neat connection
that.
for you. Yeah. That's cool. I like that.
This is the equivalent of Puffing Billy's throttle.
Right.
This is the Puffing Billy reverser, and it's a Baldwin locomotive.
Very cool.
So
That's cool.
the Puffing Billy was the inspiration for it. It's
Oh,
not the end of it, but it's
Yeah.
just one thing. And I've always loved that railway, always. And I will go to my grave loving that railway.
So
Very
has new, well, obviously you're creating new modeling steam products. You're
hoping so.
innovating steam modeling.
I'm trying. No, hang
So-
on. You got to get careful here. I'm trying to.
Okay, you're trying to innovate.
I haven't got there. Right?
I think it's great.
I'm trying to push the envelope. What's this, John?
No, my earpiece was falling out.
Oh,
Back in.
we thought you were
Sorry.
like,
Oh no
this has beating.
Oh, now I got the rubber thing stuck in my ear.
I got asked one time what I'm doing when I look down. I should explain this since we're talking about John sticking his finger in his ear. I take notes all the time. So I'm always writing so I can look it up later. So when I'm looking, I got asked that one time, what do you do when you look down, Michelle? What are you doing?
When I do this, I'm trying to read the comments on the bottom of the page.
Yeah.
Because I'm reasonably close
this is
to
me
being
reading
blind.
comments.
Yeah, I'm close to being blind. Very close.
Oh.
We have another caller calling in.
Yeah,
Is there
I better
anything
go.
else you wanted to mention, Mark, before we let you go?
Not really. Just don't just assume that this is all sorted either. Like, as I said, anything could knock us off and stop us from completing this job. This is very, very hard. So don't just assume that it's a done deal. I've had people sort of say, oh, when are you going to put it out? When it's done is the answer.
I hope that you have smooth sailing and that it all comes together well.
So do I.
So,
I wouldn't mind sending one over to each of you guys to have a try. And
I'd love to try it.
I'd love to talk to Nancy about it too.
Yeah.
About how we could play with her decoders a bit more and make them be more realistic than they are right at the moment. Because there's ways to make them better, for sure.
There's
I'm
always
sure they're
ways
working
to,
on that. Yeah.
there's
And I'm
always
sure
ways to improve everything.
Yeah.
That's right.
They're great at working on new stuff too. So she might love that conversation with you, Mark. That'd be great.
Well, yeah, set me up a conversation with Nancy.
Send me an email.
I actually know Nancy because I bought the very first Steam decoder from her. Oh, when was that? Mid-90s?
Probably.
Probably.
It's like a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I was, at the time, I must admit, and I hate to admit this, I was actually shocked that there was a lady in charge of a model railway firm, and I was impressed. I was shocked.
I look up to her. She's one of my role models. I love Nancy. She's
I think she's done a magnificent job, and and I've changed my chauvinistic beliefs to think that women can do anything men can do. So I'm quite happy for women to take roles and then show us dumbass guys what's the good thing to do.
You're preaching to the choir here, buddy.
Yeah, I'm there.
Thank you, Mark.
Look at Sydney. She's just doing it in the background there. She does a great job.
She's awesome.
Yeah, I know. I always say hello to Sydney when I come in and look at TSG stuff.
She's
listening
great right now, so she says hello.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mark. I really enjoyed learning about what you're doing. Thanks for sharing that.
No worries.
Thanks for calling in, Mark. You can call in anytime.
Thank you.
We'll
see
you
you.
night. Okay. Take care, man. All right. You ready? Speaking of women in the hobby. Hey, bro.
Hi, Alvin.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. We're talking Steam tonight, so I'm super happy.
Yeah. Talk about Steam, Alvin.
I got a lot of Steam happening right now.
I told the viewers about when we saw Ed Dickens at Ogden, and you fangirled on me about him.
Oh man, that guy, he's a legend.
That's what he said.
He's a legend.
That's what he said.
To be honest, it took me a good year to get over the starstruck. Oh my God, Ed Dickens just walked in the door to just letting it be a normal human being, because he is a normal human being, just like the rest of us.
He's like this tall guy just standing around and you're like, oh man, there he is. He's legendary.
Yeah.
I see him.
He's earned his creds though. So
yeah, you really fangirled him though when we were in Evanston. You walked up, you're like, oh my God, you're a legend, you're the superstar, whatever.
Yeah, and then he pawned off on the other guy.
Yeah. See, I told you that's exactly the story. I just got done telling everybody.
He's like, no, not me, this guy over here.
Yeah.
What was his name?
That was Austin.
Parker. Austin
Yeah.
Parker.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, in case anybody watching thinks I was exaggerating, there's the story right there. Just
Yep.
like I told you.
He goes, no, not me. It's that other guy.
Yep. He pulls him over. He says, "This is my best guy right here."
Yep.
They are
His
too.
fan,
It
not
takes
mine.
every one of them to put that together. It really does take all of them.
I thought it was great, I thought it was great. I mean, I don't know that I would have known who Austin was if Ed hadn't done that.
I guess I'm fortunate because I live close, so I know all of the Steam crew.
Yeah.
And I get to know them as the humans that they are, which is really a gift. So
Sure it is.
they're super talented, wonderful people.
There was a guy one time who, this was about, I think, 5 years ago, and we took him on a chasing trains trip, and he said something like, "God, I can't believe you guys are just like you seem on YouTube." And I looked at him and I said, "Well, what do you expect us to be like? I mean, that's who we are, like."
Yeah, I've had that before. Oh wow, in person you're just like, and I'm like, I'm probably just goofier in person, but
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what people expect you to be like. Oh, I thought you'd be taller. I don't, what do you think of it?
I think people are surprised that I'm tall. I really do get that. Oh, I had no idea you were that tall. I'm like, yeah, I'm really tall.
I expected you to be tall.
Did you? Oh, well, that's good. I
did,
do
yeah.
get that sometimes. I've heard that before.
I don't know why. I didn't have any, or, I can't say I expected you to be tall. I didn't expect anything because I didn't know.
Because of the way we met. But
but I wasn't
funny.
surprised or anything like that, right? But ask Alvin, he fangirled me when I met him at the club that one time back in 2018. And he's like, "Oh, you're so great. I love you. You're like my hero," and all this other stuff. I'm like, "Yeah, right. Okay, man." No, he didn't really say that, but
I thought all that.
I want to model my life after you, dude.
You're a legend, bro.
You're a legend. I owe it all. I owe everything to you.
Yeah.
No, truth be told, Alvin came up to me and said something like, "So, bro, what's it like to be YouTube famous?" So I made it my mission over the next 3 or 4 years, whatever it's been, to make him YouTube famous so he could find out and then he could tell me what it's like. So, and he got fangirled too.
Oh, yeah.
See, so it does happen.
Drayton from Scale Trains.
Oh,
he
funny.
totally fangirled
like
you.
Drayton.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh my gosh, you're part of TSG Multimedia." I was like, kinda. He's super cool guy. I like him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like him too. He's cool. I need better, more descriptive words because I was like, they're awesome, they're great people, they're just wonderful. I need some better. I need a bigger vocabulary to describe all the cool people that I know.
Well, Alvin has all the good words.
Bro.
Professional. They're professional.
YouTubers must be fake. Yeah, and I think a lot of times it's the Hollywood thing too. Like, you know how movie stars, like with the tall short thing, a lot of times movie stars look amazing on the screen and they have all this editing and everything, and then you meet them in real life and they're kind of normal and short. Or something, not what you expect. I think that's kind of what we meant, but I don't know what you mean by a lot of YouTubers must be fake. Well, I guess they can't. A lot of social media people are fake. They put the filters on their Instagram and all that stuff. But
he might be talking about portrait. Well, I mean, think about it. I'm sure that we've all known people who try to self-aggrandize and make themselves out to be bigger or more popular or whatever,
cooler,
right? Than they really are. I'm sure we've all experienced that, and I have. I mean, I know someone even now who, well, I'm not going to get into that, but you know what I'm talking about? Like,
where people, where they're not really themselves on their YouTube.
Yeah, exactly.
I can 100% guarantee this is 100% me right here.
I can promise you she's telling the truth. No, I'm serious. I mean, look.
Not authentic. Like Sydney said, not authentic. And that's true. And I think there's value in being authentic. I think being authentic is the best gift you can give people. And because I love people, I want to give them my best gift. And that's just,
hey, Michelle, it's the best gift you can give yourself.
Yeah,
because
true.
if you're fake, you got to remember everything you told, all the lies you told people.
Oh yeah, that's true.
if you forget them, then you really have crap in your
Okay.
face.
This is a little off squirreling, but something really funny about me. So here's some trivia if somebody ever asks you. I can't stand to watch movies where people lie. Like those comedies where they just keep lying and then lying a little more and they just get deeper. I can't even watch it. Like I get so stressed out. I have to leave the room.
Isn't it?
I have to leave the room. Like I can't watch it. My husband would be like, "Oh, you won't like this comedy, honey. It's way too stressful for you."
Yeah. Well, I want to know, Alvin, because you've met both of us like within the past 4 or 5 years. And I think you knew who I was before you met me. You knew who Michelle was before you met her. What's your impressions? Like when you met either one of us, did we seem different from what you expected?
Not really.
Yeah.
I mean, now that I know you a little better.
We're even goofier than you thought.
We'll say that. No, nothing bad. You guys are like you said, it's the same as on camera versus like in real life. So.
And you know what? You know what I love? I love meeting the people whose names are over here in the chat. I love meeting these people in real life and going, "Oh my gosh, that's you! That's so cool! I'm so excited to meet you."
It's so strange because it happens to me all the time. Like people, I'm sure it doesn't happen as often as I think it does, but like since I'm YouTube famous now, I'm sure there's people in my community that know who I am, but like they like hesitant to talk to me or something. I don't know. Like it's just kind of strange. Like people are looking at me. I don't know if it's my hair or like I don't know. Maybe I'm
hair. It's all about the hair.
It's probably
maybe they're not sure it's you because you don't have the unicycle.
Maybe I keep forgetting to drag that out of my mom's shed.
Oh, you might need that.
I need to ride that again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
super stoked about it.
It's summertime. You need to get the unicycle out.
Right. I'm not going to release any of the official details of it, but we're all going to see each other in person here next month, and I'm really excited about that. So.
Mm-hmm. I am too. And so of our viewers, if you're going to Deschler, make sure you talk to me. The thing that drives me crazy is someone will message and say, "Yeah, I saw you there, but I didn't come up." And I'm like, "Why did you not come say hi?" So
I want to go to Deschler.
Yeah. But you know what, Michelle, that goes to what Mark was talking about. Mark was saying that I think it was Mark or maybe Dave. No, it was Mark because I asked him what it was like to be in the convention. And he said that he wouldn't go talk to like Joe Fugate. He would stay far away from him because he's intimidated by it. He didn't say that, but that's what he was. That's what I heard. So people will do the same thing. The same thing happened to me when we were at the Salt Lake City train show. People didn't come up, and then they emailed me later saying, "Oh, I saw you at the train show, but you had a bunch of people around that you were talking to, and I didn't feel right coming up." And like, no, dude, show up, come up. Okay, it doesn't matter.
So if you're listening to this, come up and say hi anyway.
Yeah, come up and say hi.
I want to meet you.
Yeah, seriously. It's better than like sneaking around, spying on us from far away. That's creepy.
Yeah, that's weird. Don't do that.
Oh man. So what else is on your mind, Alvin? You called in, we're like wrapping up the show.
Do you guys want to hear my first steam train experience?
Sure.
Yeah.
The year was 2018.
Yeah.
And then I just joined the train club and they were like, "Yo, man, this steam train's coming through." And I was like, "All right. Apparently it's a big deal. Let's go see it." So then we went up Echo Canyon, me and Pete McMurrin.
Uh-huh.
I said, "Hey, man, can I ride with you? Because I don't know what's going on." He's like, "Yeah, for sure. I got the day off." And I was like, "All right." He says, "We'll follow it all the way up the canyon and stop in Evanston and turn around and come back." And I said, "All right." Then we could get lunch since it was like 8 o'clock in the morning. So I called into work, sick. And then we stopped at this rest stop and we waited for like, oh my gosh, it was 45 minutes. And it was March or April. It was still kind of cold. It was trying to snow. And I remember just talking to people, and there's a few kids that like were missing school and stuff, because I don't know, whatever. But it was cool. We followed it, and it was crazy to see this. It was 8:44.
Okay, I was about to say, what was it? You're following it, but you're not telling me what it was. It was 844. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful locomotive.
Yeah, no, it was gorgeous. And then we followed it, and then we stopped to pull over. There was way too many people. And we didn't stop again until we got to Evanston, and then we took pictures of it, and then watched it drive away. And then we came back and had some lunch.
And did you go back to work for half a day or not?
No, screw that. I played trains at the club.
What was your impression? What was your impression seeing something that big fired up like that? I mean, because my first steam was something much smaller than that.
Yeah.
Were you impressed? Or what was the?
I just can't get over the tire size. To be honest, like how big that thing is, crazy, massive wheels.
They're taller than me.
Yeah, what's the 844?
They're 80 inches. They're 80 inches.
80?
The drivers are 80 inches because I made my COVID signs.
Oh, 80 inches apart, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So they're a little. It was a little bigger than we had to be, but yeah. My first steam real impression, like not the first one I ever saw, but real impression was the 844 pulling up to Greeley and stopping. And I walked over and I went, these wheels are huge. This thing is huge and it's beautiful. And yeah.
What is that? 6 feet 8 inches? I think that's taller than Ed Dickens too.
Yeah, probably. I think
that looks like
Red Boy's wheels aren't that big, but 844 has those big, huge passenger wheels. They're just fabulous.
Yeah.
So
it looks like it's still dunk though.
The other thing I thought was cool was how clean it was. Like you think like, oh man, old steam engine, like dirty, greasy, grimy. Like that thing's shiny. Crazy shiny. And I was impressed by that.
Was it 2017? Is that what you said?
17 or 18.
Because in 2017 they waxed that baby before they went out. It was beautiful. It's always shiny though. But you can thank Ed for that. It's important to him that it looks like that. So they wash it every night.
That I said that it's really clean.
It is. Oh, okay. So his first steam experience, he was 6 years old. So that's a really early experience.
It is. And it
got hit by a tree branch.
he got hit in the head with the tree branch. And we know what's wrong with you now, Joey.
That's unforgettable.
We've had that conversation before in private.
Hey, can I tell you that happened to my husband on the Alaska Railroad too? On this last trip, he turned around and he turned back to look at me and his tree branch whack right across his face.
Did you just barely get back from vacation?
Yeah, on the last weekend.
Oh, I thought you were still traveling right now.
No, I'm home. I'm actually home.
There you go. Sorry, I was late.
That's great. Thanks for sharing that. That's a great memory. That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm glad you got back when you did, Michelle, but I have a request for next month.
Okay.
And I've already cleared it with our production team here.
Okay.
That if we're going to do this next month, we need to do it on August 11th.
Okay.
Because I'll be driving somewhere on August 18th, which would be our normal day. So can you put that in your calendar? And
I can.
We'll have to come up with a what do you want to call it? A topic for next time, or
we should have people send us topics if you think of a good topic, because you're going to get real tired of my ideas pretty soon.
Well, I have an idea, and
maybe
the people can in the text chat, since everybody's so keen on calling in. Maybe the people in the text chat can, mention what they think of this idea. But how about if we just have an open topic call-in show where people can call up and talk about whatever they want to talk about, and we'll just go wherever it takes us.
Sounds good to me. I'm good with that.
Yeah, I think that would be fun, because something else that we don't usually do, if we don't, I mean, it's a casual show. People can really call in anytime and talk about whatever they want. But we haven't had just like a hangout show where people can just hang out, BS in the chat, BS with us here on the screen. I mean, that sounds like fun, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. What do you think, Fabio? You're one of the viewers. Would you be down for something like that?
Let's BS our way through the night. Sounds good.
Yeah.
That's how I get through life.
No lying. Lying stresses me out.
Yeah, no lying.
Fake it till you make it, bro.
Fake it till you make it.
I didn't think I got where I am. I'm just kidding.
Oh, boy.
Being
Some brown
green
stuff on my nose. That's
1970,
how it happened.
I like the Greyhound paint scheme too on 8444. I think that was a pretty point in history when they did the
Yeah.
gray paint schemes on the UP Steam.
Yeah.
You guys want to see my
Really?
layout before we go?
Oh, sure. Does it look like a
Let me
chocolate
see
bar
if
today?
I can... Oh, let me see. Cam mic. Hold on. Camera.
Oh, that's
Nick.
cool. That's
Hold on.
cool. Your grandfather was a fireman. That's awesome.
I can't figure this out. Anyway, it's inverted. I don't know how to flip my camera.
Yeah.
There it is, man.
Oh, it's coming together.
It's a bit of a mess. So I took this from over there.
Oh,
It used
yeah.
to be there, but I put it there.
Wait, why
then-
now? Why are you doing this? Why are you making it on stands now?
What am I? What?
Why are you making it on their own legs now? Did you abandon the idea of putting it up on that shelf?
Well, so this has a bunch of switches everywhere.
Uh-huh.
And if it's on that shelf,
You can't access the
I
switches.
can't access it.
Yeah.
So my intent is to put it over there. It's going to loop around that way. And then over there's no switches or anything. Then I need to flip it upside down to work on it or anything.
Right.
But I got all these super cool houses. This is one of my favorite. This came together really well.
It's kind of dark down there, dude.
Yeah, sorry. How about
That's a
that?
little better. Kinda.
I like Sydney's memory. I didn't know that you had trains that far back in your life, Sydney. That's awesome.
This turned out really nice.
Oh, that looks great, Alvin.
I painted that with a rattle can. How about that?
Yeah, don't get too close to it, or else we'll be able to tell.
Yeah, don't get too close. Yeah. But it's really
That is a
cute.
cool house, though. That looks
really
kind of like
like
the
it.
house you bought.
Yeah, a little bit. That was the plan.
Different
This
color.
one kind of looks more like the house that I bought.
So, are these houses going to go on the layout? Is that what you're building those for?
Oh,
Are you
yeah.
gonna you're not going to take them
Yeah.
to the club?
My idea is to make a neighborhood, and I got a power plant right there.
Mr. Gilbert's neighborhood?
Yeah, that's it. Fabio's. My house in the
Fabio's
middle of the
fantasy
street.
place?
Yeah.
Cool.
I think it
That's
should be
the plan,
Fabio's
man.
Island.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Cool.
Very cool. Thanks for showing us your layout. It's come
Yeah.
on.
No
Yeah.
problem.
Should we
That's
send it?
great.
Where are we sending it?
Well, we were supposed to end about 7 minutes ago.
Oh, sorry.
So I don't know if we should send it or not. But
You guys have time? Can we hang out after for a minute?
we always do that.
Okay.
Well, thanks everybody for calling in and talking to us in chat. I have a lot of fun. So-
Oh, wait. I wanted to say, Joey, I like your YouTube channel. I started watching it late night
Late
model.
Late night model
Late night
railroad.
model railroader.
That's the guy.
I'm writing it
Late night
down.
model railroad. I hope
like-
he's still here.
I hope he's still there.
I hope
Send a
he's
thumbs
still
up or
here.
something.
Yeah, I hope he's still here, and I hope that he will start making videos again sometime when he's ready, of course, but in the future, because his videos to me were inspirational, especially
Oh,
the
yeah.
woodworking ones.
Especially how he
Yeah.
does like the whole design thing and whatnot. But I'm just winging it. Like, oh, man, this looks legit, but we'll see.
Yeah, but then you go through all the trouble to build it, and it's not legit, and you have to take it all out, and that's also not legit.
That's
No.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah.
Too legit to quit.
Yeah. This was something that Dave Hammer keeps mentioning, and I was going to mention this at the end of the show, which we're coming up on, which is our friend Micro K is doing a clinic on operations at the Sacramento Model Railroad Historical Society's Facebook page. And I'm pretty sure that they're streaming.
tonight?
That's
Okay.
tonight. Yeah. And he did the TSG Live Model Railroading clinic a couple months ago that was about understanding railroad signals. I don't know if you guys got to see that one, but it's really, really good. Mike's a super knowledgeable guy. So I'm really looking forward to, I'm going to be at this clinic.
I did
It's
watch that
online. So yeah, probably worth checking out.
I love signals. I did watch. I did see that one.
Cool. Yeah. So
Very
anybody watching, make a special, and if you're on Facebook,
Hey.
make a special note of that because it'll be worth watching.
I have one last thing before I go.
Okay.
This is my Where is it? My chair, if anyone's interested.
Oh yeah, we love the chair.
See the chair? I'm not sitting on it today.
I'm more interested in your vacuum cleaner.
That won't end well.
Anyway.
Next time.
All right.
Next
Cool.
time.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Well,
I'm sure
thank you.
we'll talk to you in a couple minutes, I guess.
Okay, put me in the backstage.
See ya. All right.
All right.
So,
well, another fun show. Thanks for letting me do this with you, John. I love this. It's fun.
Thanks for agreeing to do it because it is fun. And frankly, I don't know, Michelle, that we would talk as often as we do because it's only about once a month.
I know. I get really busy.
Yeah, that makes two of us.
Yeah.
That makes three of us because there's two of us here that get really busy. So
it's funny, you know, we went through COVID and I was busy then, and now I'm like, how did I ever survive this busy before that? And because I'm always busy doing stuff.
It is kind of ironic how I think we both managed to stay really busy during COVID, and I got to tell you, with the restrictions being lifted and less stuff, although you have to say that with a bit of cautious optimism these days, because we were talking off camera about how a lot of people are still catching it, and a lot of health departments are still very concerned and asking people to continue wearing masks even now that people are getting the vaccine, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm cautiously optimistic, but I do have to say that ever since the restrictions have been getting lifted where I live, I've been getting busy back to normal busy,
Mm-hmm. Me too.
And it's overwhelming how much stuff there is to do if you're make yourself available to do it. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, that's true.
So, thanks again, Michelle. I do appreciate it. And I'll put you backstage. Bye, everybody. All right. Thank you. I have another announcement, and I'll meet you in a minute.
Okay.
Thanks. Okay. So that'll do it for this show. So I did want to mention this Saturday, that's the 24th, we have a product spotlight. That's of a locomotive. We also have N-Scale Friday, the day after tomorrow. And then we have 5 Saturdays this month. So on the 31st, it's a week from this Saturday, we have the next episode of Model Trains Galore. And this is kind of a special one because it has nothing but steam engines. So it should be pretty cool, or steam trains, I should say. So that should be pretty cool. And one other thing that we're doing, I just mentioned it a couple of minutes ago, was on August 11th, we will have this call-in show again with Michelle and yours truly. So that'll do it. I'll see you all soon.